Hello guys, and welcome to today's off-season outlook and discussion. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the CANSIPs, the CFS models, not to mention the 7-day sea surface temperature change and the actual sea surface temperatures that are out there in the Western Atlantic and the tropical Atlantic. But first, as we always do, we're always going to take a look at this ENSO 3.4 index here. And as you guys can see, since mid-December, it's been on a pretty darn roller coaster ride, going up and down, up and down, up and down. And then here around mid-February, it started tanking. And it did get down below -1 at one point or another a couple of weeks ago. But now, as you can see, it's kind of steadied off here. It's fluctuating from, negative 0.95 to negative 0.94. And the actual, index right now is a negative 0.94. So right now we're right on the cusp of moderate La Nina, but we're on a strong weak La Nina, if that makes sense. This obviously is going to have some implications going down the road here, and I do firmly believe that we will be sticking with La Nina throughout at least half of the season. As we go out through June, July, August, we'll probably be sticking with La Nina. And of course May, since we've been having off-season activity since the past 7 years, whether it be April or May. And I'm going to show you guys why I think May will be no different this year as we take a look at the CANSIPS models and the CFS models. But first, what I want to do now is I want to take a look at the sea surface temperatures here across the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Western Atlantic. As you can see here, some of these shelf waters are pretty decently cold here. So these take a while to really warm up because it's shallower water. It's it's easier to upwell those waters than it is to keep the warmth at surface. So now that we're in daylight savings time and the sun angle is at a different angle than it was, say, before daylight saving times, it could start warming up a little bit easier because of the angle of the sun. But obviously, I do feel like those temperatures are going to rebound before we get to the hurricane season, because that's just what it always does. But as you can see here around Florida, as you guys know from like 4 or 5 days ago when I made a video about this, you guys saw the 26s and almost 27s that are creeping up here near Miami and the eastern seaboard of Florida. But those have since gone away because we did have a cold front that came through over the weekend that really bumped down the water temperatures quite a good bit. And the reason being is because we had lows in the 40s in some locations on Florida. So obviously that's going to spell colder waters off the the Gulf and the Atlantic side of things. But as you guys can see here, you guys see that the 26s and the 27s are starting to make a comeback here in the central Gulf of Mexico. So we're going to see how fast it takes to recover these temperatures and see, well, where we are here in May as we get towards, the official start of hurricane season. But as you guys see here in the Caribbean, there's 27s and 28s and almost some 29s popping up here. So Caribbean is warm year-round. Obviously, year-round it can support tropical activity, but because of wind shear and other factors, you just don't see tropical activity in the 5 or 6 months that we're on the off season. Besides this year, but like I said, we're going to take a look at that later. All right, so here is the tropical Atlantic, and as you can see here, we got 27s here in the Eastern Caribbean, which is plenty warm enough for tropical activities, and we got some 28s popping up too. The Western MDR is looking pretty decent too, 26s, 27s, and the likes. And as you can see, some of these 26s are finally creeping up here above the 10 north line. So, like I said in the last couple of videos, it's a slow process for the MDR waters to warm up, but we are getting there. Those are now above the 10-degree north line, and now we just got to get these ones here to get past the 10 degrees line, past 45 west going east. And I do firmly believe that that's going to be the case going forward as we get closer to the hurricane season. All right, so here is the sea surface temperature anomaly 7-day change here for the tropical Atlantic. And here you see we got some colder pockets here in the Gulf Stream. We got some warmer anomalies in the subtropics, and you got a mixed bag pretty much here in the MDR region, but mostly cooler anomalies. So, like I said 2 days ago, if you want a hyperactive season, this is going to have to change. We want this anomaly up here in the subtropics to be down here in the MDR region. So, I mean, I can't, obviously, if it doesn't do that, you obviously can still get a very active season like we've seen in, so the past couple of years, but you're not going to get anything hyper active in terms of quality. So, anybody that are ace enthusiasts can take an X and cross off the MDR, at least for now. But we will see how this all evolves as we go out through time. And like I said, I firmly believe that this is going to start warming up sooner or later as we head closer to hurricane season. All right, so here is the 7-day anomaly change for the Western Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, and the Caribbean. Like I pointed out not too long ago, that we had a massive cold front that came through here. And this is, you can clearly see where that cold front went through with these colder anomalies here near Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, Texas. You can see the whole Gulf of Mexico here is mostly cooling off here because of that. Now we're gonna have to see how the 7-day change happens this time next week. I do believe that come this next week, those are gonna start becoming oranges and reds again, because we got some of the temperatures that are forecasted here in Florida at least are calling for mostly 80s for the next 2 weeks just about. So I clearly see another warm up of these sea surface temperatures forthcoming as we get closer and closer to April. And that's going to matter because once we get into April, that's 2 months away from the official start of the hurricane season. But then that's also 45 days until the start of the tropical weather outlooks. And that's when my season starts, is May 15th. And, it may not be official, but May 15th is my start date. And that's when I'm going to stop calling these off-season outlooks and discussions and calling them on-season outlook and discussions. But that's then and here's now. Here we see off the mid-Atlantic coast, we got some cooler anomalies here in the Gulf Stream. And the Gulf Stream here is normally super warm. And, that's because of the slowing of the currents in that, area. It keeps the waters warm in the Gulf Stream. And as you can see here, we got these warmer anomalies here in the subtropics that are reaching up to about 1.5 degrees above normal. Here in the Caribbean, you got a mixed bag of cold, warm, and neutral too. So we're gonna have to see how this all turns out later on. All right, so here is the CANCIP's total accumulated precipitation anomalies for May here, and as you can see here in the Caribbean, it's mostly dry. There are some wet anomalies, but it's mostly in the Gulf of Mexico and the subtropics. Now, some people are, claiming an analog for the season as 2020. So if that's the case, there's enough, precipitation anomaly numbers here that we could see two systems here pop up in the month of May. Even 2020 almost had 3 systems in May actually. So that's the amazing thing. I don't see 3 systems, but maybe 2 tops coming out of May, and you can see clearly where the precipitation is forecasted to set up here in the subtropics and near the eastern coast of the United States here, going into Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, in the places, obviously, and some precipitation anomalies here in the Gulf of Mexico. We're just going to have to see how that all, turns out later. All right, so here is the June precipitation anomalies. I'm not going to go any further than this because anything after this is, we're just throw out the window. We're just going to take the look at the first 2 months of the season, which, like I said, to me, May 15th is the start of the season. So as you can see here in June, we got some pretty decent anomalies here in the southern tip of Florida. So we could see a tropical system, form here in the northwestern Caribbean, track through Cuba, and then go right through Florida. That's a possibility. Or this can be your typical pop-up afternoon showers and thunderstorms that are around. This can go either way. This is the total accumulated precipitation. So it can either be, like I said, it could be a tropical system, or it could be your everyday thunderstorms from the heating of the day that are making these anomalies as wet as they are. All right, so here are the wind shear anomalies here. And as you can see for May, this is some pretty, decent favorable shear here. We got major blues here, and as you can see here in the Gulf, here in the Western Atlantic, here in the Caribbean, some places here in the MDR all have favorable wind shear here. So, like I said, as we take a look back at this for June, and you line it up, where you see the precipitation, there's favorable wind shear anomalies here too. So, we're just gonna have to see how that all plays out later on. All right, so here is the June's not precipitation, but bulk anomaly here. And as you can see, a lot of the Caribbean, a lot of the Gulf here is in a favorable state here. So we're going to take a look at the precip here. So as you can see where the precipitation here is, it's not completely lined up with this, but in the places that does have the most precipitation, as you can see here, favorable wind shear. So like I said in the last thing here, it could either be something tropical or it could be something like a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the CFS here, and these run twice a day. So we're looking at today's updated forecast from the CFS, and as you can see here, oh boy, look at the freaking Caribbean here. The Caribbean, the Eastern Gulf, and parts of the subtropics here are looking mighty wet. And me and my friend Weather Hub TV, we've been looking at this spot right here near the Central America here, where a Central American gyre could set up in this place in May. Like I said, me and Weather Hub TV, we both predicted around May 15th that we should start watching for something to form. And right now, the CFS is on our side with that. So, and also Mark Sudlett said around the northwestern Caribbean, that's the place to watch. So the CFS is definitely on our side right now in terms of what could possibly come in the month of May. All right, so here is June, and as you can see, June is not as wet as May is. I mean, you got some precipitations here around some of the islands. You got some precipitation here in the Gulf of Mexico. Maybe something weak pops up. You got some subtropical moisture. Maybe something pops up there, but mostly just June does not look too favorable for maybe tropical activity. But as I said, this can obviously change as we go forward through time, and obviously I'm going to keep you guys updated on that. All right, so here we are with the CFS bulk shear anomaly, and as you can see, there's a big spot here in the Western Atlantic and parts of the Gulf of Mexico where the shear is not very favorable whatsoever. And we got some favorable shear setup here where we take a look back at this. You line that up with all of this moisture, and then bam, right here, favorable wind shear anomalies in these areas here, where this potential system that some of us are pointing out could set up in mid-May. So, that's lining up with the CFS here with the precipitation anomalies. All right, so here is June. As you can see, pretty much everywhere is favorable, whether it be weak favorable wind shear, moderate wind acceptable wind shear, or strong favorable wind shear. Pretty much everywhere in the Atlantic, besides a few places in the far eastern MDR and this portion here in the western MDR. As you can see, it looks favorable when it comes to the wind shear. So how does it pan out here with the precip anomalies? Um, let's see, where the unfavorable wind shear here is, you see the precipitation. So obviously that's not going to pan out. But you see these stronger anomalies here in the Western Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, and Caribbean. And then you see all this precipitation here in the same said places. So this could be favorable for some development, but June is looking pretty weak in the precipitation department here. So we're just going to have to see how it all turns out as we head out through time. Anyways, that will be it for today's video. I will be having another tropical off-season outlook and discussion in the next 2 or so days, just to see if the CFS has changed any since today. And with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.